Okay, so first I'm going to show you some block capital letters. So there's my title, and underneath my title I'm going to do what's called a guideline, and that guideline is going to go all across my page. From the guideline I'm going to count down 5 squares, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'm going to draw another guideline. Now I'm doing this on grid paper because what the grids will do is help us to measure out my letters, so it's quicker than having to measure it using a ruler, which I could do on blank paper, but using grid paper for this task is quite a good way to practice. So every 3 squares I'm going to mark in some vertical guidelines. So for each letter there will be 3 squares across and 5 squares high. So I'm going to start by doing the alphabet. I'm going to start with the letter A. So my letter A is going to be 1 square thick all the way around. So I'm going to mark out on there. There's my A. Now I went a little bit wobbly there, so on the long distances I'm going to use my ruler because we want to keep neat and accurate. This whole thing is about keeping it neat. So there's my A and my B. You'll see those a little bit better if I colour them in. It's quicker to colour in this bit. So there's my A and there's my B, albeit a very square, almost digital style. So if you were doing a design that required a sort of digital style text, this would be a good one to use. C. Now I'm going to go through these letters, and if you think you've got the hang of it, you can carry on with your own, and if you're having any difficulty you can just fast forward the video. A, B, C, D. I had to think about that then. I was getting ahead of myself. You can fast forward the video and you can go to any letters that you are having difficulty with. Now the one that people do tend to have difficulty with is the G. And the reason is because you come away from the guidelines. You'll see that with all these letters, they are using the grid. So I'm keeping with the grid, and they are touching the guidelines at the top and at the bottom and at the side. So I'll quickly do the F and then I'll show you the G. Now I'm rushing this a little bit. You can take your time and make sure you're getting it nice and neat. Okay, so the reason the G is difficult is because you have to come away from the grid lines. Otherwise, if I was to go all the way around, it would look like a number 6. So I'm going to go partially through the grid and then I'm going to come down, back in, like so. So I've divided that square, but that's what I need to do in order for the G to look like a G. H, really simple. Need to use the ruler, keep nice and neat. I'm trying to shade as quick as I can without going over the lines. Capital I. Now the other one that people find difficult is the K, letter K. And again, it's because you have to come away from those grids. I'm just going to go really quick. Okay, so the K, which we're getting on to, it still has to be 1 square thick. All these letters are 1 square thick, so the back of the K is going to be just that. And I know that it's 5 squares high, so the middle will be this square here, and I've got to go out at the top, sorry, at the bottom and at the top. Now if I go from that square to that square, I know it's still 1 square thick. Try and keep that distance the same all the way up. And there's my K. L, dead easy. M, quite difficult. Again, because you've got to come away from the grids. And especially because there's only 3 squares wide, but we've got to fit in the letter M, so we're going to have to come down at the halfway point there. 1 square either side, and then down in the middle. And there we are. So some really simple digital looking capital letters, block capitals. Now if you get good at this, you could do it on blank paper, or you can continue the rest of the alphabet and see if you can do the other letters. But we are going to move on to doing some round capitals next. I can make these, I can go back and make them neater. One with my shading, as I say, I was rushing a little bit. And I can also use a fine liner to sort of tidy up these lines and go over the lines with a fine liner, and then I can just rub out the untidy pencil underneath, and I should be left with some real neat letters.